Hi kids, quick reaction video. I'm not going to go into depth because I don't want to. The war between the land and the sea this weekend, and I saw the first two episodes, as did a lot of people in the UK. They've moved the date apparently, so the US doesn't get it as soon. So I'm not going to go into too many spoilers, but I'll just give you my thoughts. Pros and cons. Pros. It looks amazing. The cinematography and direction and lighting, production design, all really good. Looks like a movie. Music is excellent. Performances are pretty much decent there. Cast, obviously the main character is Russell Tovey's character, who plays Barclay. He's kind of an everyman who's thrown into his job by accident, and they mention it about 6 times at the start. And it's all to do with the Doctor Who creatures that used to be called sea devils, and they have finally had enough of sharing the planet while the human race is bombarding the sea and the waterways with pollution and junk and filth. Did I enjoy it? For the most part, yes. It is a little bit kind of slow and drawn out in a way. I don't mind the slow pacing. I rolled my eyes a couple of times at the Russell T Davies-ness of it. It has a feeling of like his other dramas, Years and Years, and the other one that I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But obviously it has a sci-fi angle. The Sea Devils, decent makeup, etc., that kind of thing. There is one sea creature that turns up that I thought was a tractator, if you remember the tractators from the 80s Doctor Who. It just looks stupid. It's a cross between the Monty Python fish with their faces on the front and a tractator and something from Shark Tale. I don't know whether that's going to come into... I'm sure it's going to come into play later on as some kind of scary shark thing, but it's a bit stupid. The Sea Devils, the reason I keep doing Sea Devils is because at the start, the unit or the military major, played by the Fast Show's Colin McFarlane, he also played the, I think, was he the commissioner, or I think he was the commissioner before Gordon in The Dark Knight. He's a British actor, in fact, but he's playing an American in this. He says, "We used to call them Sea Devils, but we're better than that." And then 20 seconds later, he refers to that thing. And you're like, I thought you were better than that. Anyway, so we're following Barclay as he gets thrown into this kind of ambassador role between the humans and the Homo Aqua. I mean, yes, I know they're trying to go for a scientific Latin depiction, but they also shoot themselves in the foot by coming up with a different Latin depiction as well, and go, no, we won't use that, we'll use Homo Aqua. And a more cynical person, and it has been said that by a lot of people, that it's just an excuse to get the word homo in there, but they do make a big joke about it. At one point, Barclay and his family are like, "Oh, it doesn't mean gay water. Oh, you've been drinking gay water," which is a weird thing to say to your kid if your kid is non-binary. Okay, so I watched the second episode and things heat up a little bit more, no pun intended, and some really good effects of basically the creatures themselves organize. They get basically frustrated with the lack of progress from the humans' part, so they said, right, have all your rubbish back. So they just cause some kind of hurricane, tornado type thing to deposit all the plastic bags and waste and stuff all back on the earth, all over the place. Really nicely done effects wise. And for me, it was good to see lots of local areas. I've seen Cardiff Bay a lot, and I've seen Cardiff Museum steps, and a lot of things like that. The Some of the cons are, I mean, is it the very first scene? The very first scene is Barclay waking up, but he runs to someone in another room, and it's a girl, and he gives her a shake. Sorry, it's not a girl; it's a non-binary person, and he gives them a shake and says, "You got to get up. You got to get up." And I wasn't sure whether this was his wife, partner, whatever. Turns out he tells us all, because he gets in a car and goes, "This is Kirby. They're my child," and it is a bit. They do use the they them pronouns, which I look. If you're watching this and you use they them pronouns, that's fine. It's just a little bit kind of clunky at the moment. It's, I guess, the only way. Russell T Davies is saying the only way to get people used to using they them pronouns for people who are non-binary is to put them on telly and use them more. So there is a certain clunkiness, and it just feels like that was thrown in immediately to make a point, and it doesn't need to be. It could have just been done a bit more naturally. And I'm hoping Kirby has a very important part to play in this. Otherwise, it's just, they're there for the sake of saying, "Hey, look at me, I've got, they them pronouns." So they better use the character. Kirby's mother and Barclay's ex, I don't know why the ex is hanging around if they're no longer together, but all she does is sit there and moan and complain and whinge and take the pee out of Barclay, which I don't like that kind of person, because we've all got slightly obnoxious exes, and I try not to hang around with mine. The costumes and makeup, like I say, obviously our lead Homo Aqua spokesperson is Salt, played by Gugu Mbata Raw, and she's very good, but she is, I mean, the costumes themselves, they've tried to go for the classic Sea Devil look slightly. They've gone a bit more green. They don't have the sort of turtle beak, but they do look similar with this kind of thing. But when you get to Salt, who's some other sort of species, because she looks like an attractive black girl underneath all the makeup, which is what she is in real life anyway. She's just got this 1950s, webbed ears and very obvious green scales. And I'm sure they could have done something better. It's big budget, and I'll get onto that in a sec. But I'm sure they could have done something better with the makeup. It just looks a bit 1950s pulp sci-fi thing from underwater. It's not even as good as the Gill Man from the black and white Creature from the Black Lagoons movies, which I really liked. It is a very modernish design that hasn't really dated. Still, it's not as awful as a lot of people were expecting. I don't use the word woke anymore, because that's got positive and negative connotations. I would just say it's doing its best to be politically correct, as you can imagine. Although Russell T Davies created the show, it's written by Pete McTeague, who's done obviously some Doctor Who, and he did the recent Peter Davison short film. And budget-wise, now, like I said, it looks gorgeous. The effects are good, the CG is good, the makeup and full body prosthetics and that are good, and all this kind of stuff. But I can't help thinking that the money they put aside to make this detracted from Ncuti Gatwa's last few Doctor Who episodes, because Ncuti's last Doctor Who episodes, to me, looked like they'd spent about 25p on them. They looked low budget, and they looked like they could have done with more cash to look, I don't know, less like a brightly coloured comic strip and more like a serious sci-fi drama, which I think would have worked better. And you can see now that they spent a lot more time and effort giving the cinematic look to the war between the land and the sea, which was a risk. To do this basically unit stroke, I will say Torchwood, even though it's nothing to do with Torchwood, but it's a unit drama. But at the end of the day, to me, it feels like Torchwood, and it looks good. Like I said, it looks good. But why bother doing that as a spin-off, which is, not really going to go anywhere as yet? There's no promise that it's going to continue or go anywhere. It's more a case of that money should have gone on Doctor Who. Really should have. Doctor Who needed it. If they'd have spent more time, all the money or whatever it is, I don't know how much of the budget was, on Doctor Who, then I'm fairly sure Doctor Who would have had a much better reaction from the public than it did, and we can go on and on about that. Anyway, so that's my thoughts about the war between the land and the sea. First 2 episodes looked good, pretty well made, little bit of eye rolling going on, a diversion away from the classic Sea Devils type aesthetic, which probably not the best idea. Although if you wanted to pick creatures, use the Silurians or something, use something that's a bit more better suited than the Sea Devils. But let me know what you think. If you have seen the first 2 episodes, I know there's another 2 coming. Let me know in the comments below, and thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing, etc. Tomorrow's video is a very entertaining, shall we say, trip, Christmas shopping with me this past weekend, where basically I get very wet and complain about buses and people and everything. So, yay, that'll be fun. Take care now. Bye-bye then.